How's it going, Mets fans? It's your boy Wardy, and we're on location at the time of recording this. Not exactly sure when the video is going to come out, but we're here in Port St. Lucie at the BetUS house. Shout out to our amazing sponsor at BetUS. Make sure you click the link down below. That way you too get a 125% boost with not your first, not your second, but your first 3 deposits. We've been doing a lot of awesome content with your favorite MLB creators, not named me, and today I'm accompanied by 2 of the biggest Mets fans in this creator space out there, Giraffe Neck Mark and Mike from Strikeouts and Sports. And today we're going to break down our season predictions when getting into all the key statistics for the team. Who's going to lead in this category? That category is what we're breaking down. But before we do that, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, the easiest and best way to support the channel. Thank you all so much in advance. Mark, Mike, you ready to do this thing?
Let's rock and roll.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. All right, let's do it. So let's start off by getting right into, I feel like, the most obvious one, but we still got to have the discussion. Who's going to lead the Mets in home runs this year?
Peter Morgan Alonso.
Pete Alonso.
Pete Alonso. Okay. Is there now, secondly, do you guys have a prediction as to how many bombs you think he's going to hit? Ooh. Right now, BetUS has him currently at 42.5. Are you taking the over or the under there?
We're going over. Pete's going to hit 51.
I swear to God, that was the number also in my head, too. We're just having synergy today. Let's use it.
Awesome. Okay, there we go. Absolutely hammering the over. And if you guys are into that too, make sure you do exactly that. Now let's get on to RBIs. Are we sticking with Pete Alonso or are we going elsewhere?
I am going to pick Pete Alonso again. You're going to hit 51 home runs. You're going to drive in at least 100 RBIs at the absolute worst, hopefully. So it's going to be a 120 year, I think, for him.
I'm also going to go Pete Alonso again because I think also lineup placement matters for him. He's going to have probably one of at least Nimmo, McNeil, Lindor ahead of them at all times. Hopefully they're on base, so needs more for him.
Okay, so we got Pete Alonso there. I 100% agree. While I do think that Lindor and even Alvarez could be right behind him, I still expect Alonso, especially in a walk year, to lead the way. This is going to be a monster for him offensively. Now let's get on to runs scored. This is a fun one because, again, it's not necessarily about driving them in. It's about your ability to get on base and constantly pass that plate. So, Mark, starting with you, who do you think is going to lead the Mets in runs scored this season?
I mean, it should be Brandon Nimmo. As long as they keep him in the leadoff spot, he's an elite on-base machine, and with that lineup with Lindor and Alonso, and like you said, Alvarez behind him, he should score 110, 120 runs this year.
110, 120 for Brandon Nimmo?
He should. If he's healthy, he should score that many.
Okay, that would be a career high for Brandon. Sign me up. What about you?
Feeling Francisco Lindor. I think also because you've got a little bit more home run in there, and of course you're going to touch the plate if you hit a home run. They're not going to be that far apart in the lineup placement, so I think that little difference of him having more extra base hit in there is going to put him over.
So I'm really torn because we don't know exactly how much Brandon Nimmo is going to be in leadoff this season. And because of that reason and not exactly knowing what's going to happen on that front as things currently stand, I'm going to go with Lindor as well. I think that he's a fairly safe lock to be leading the way with Brandon Nimmo, probably right behind him in that regard. And of course, Alonso too. But now let's get on to stolen bases. And Mike, I'm going to bring it back to you because there's one man that led the way last year. Do you expect him to do the same or do you think it's going to be someone else?
I think it'll be Francisco Lindor there because I think he gets on base at a more safe rate than the other guy who I think one of you is going to say. And I think that also, it really just comes down to that. I think he's going to be on base more to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be Starling Marte. As long as he's healthy, he should be the guy. I think he stole like 20-ish bases last year in the small sample with a bad groin. So as long as he plays even, honestly, 120 games, you're looking at 40, 50 steals for Marte.
Yeah, I'm easy hammer on Starling Marte there. Lindor had 31 last season, but Marte again had north of 25 in that range. When if you're trying to think on how Marte's season went last year, you're probably wondering, did he even play? So for that reason, easy with Starling Marte. We know he can easily give you 40+ stolen bags this season. Now getting on to our next one here, let's get into hits. This is a really interesting one because obviously we've seen some guys fluctuate with their offensive game the past couple years. So starting with you, Mark, who's going to lead the Mets with hits and why?
Jeff McNeil resurgence bandwagon. He's going to be back. He's going to hit 300 this year. I think if they work him back into the top of the order, again, I still think it should be Nimmo, Lindor, Alonso, but 2 spot would be where he would go. And if he's hitting towards the top of the order, hitting 300, he's just going to have close to 200 hits on the year.
I'm going to go Brandon Nimmo because I think that you've never quite seen the year where he really, at the top of the order, hits 280 to 300 range. I think we're about to get a lot of singles into center field to rack up in there.
Yeah, this is great. Both of them were 1A, 1B for me, so I'm going to give the slight favoritism here with Mark on McNeil, just because, again, this is a reigning batting champ in 2022. Down 2023, we know. And yes, there is some uncertainty with McNeil's health heading into the season. But having said all that, there is probably little to anyone that I trust more than McNeil and his ability to just spray the ball all over the place when he's at his absolute best. So going to go with Jeff there. But again, Brandon is another great option too. And again, make sure to let us know in the comments down below, where do you stand when it comes to these predictions? If you agree, disagree, make sure to let us know why. Now let's get on to, we talk about hits, batting average. For those that care a lot about batting average, personally, I know that there's a lot more that goes into it than just that. However, it still is an important stat. So Mike, starting with you, who's going to lead the Mets in batting average this season?
I'm going to go Brandon Nimmo for the same reason that I said. I don't think we've had that really high batting average year from him yet. He feels like a guy that's just waiting to have that like top 15 to 20 MVP finish. I feel like this is finally going to be it because I don't want to think against him until he does it. So just on of having not broken through that bubble yet, I kind of want to be optimistic and say him.
Just to pick somebody different so I don't keep repeating myself, I'm going to go Joey Wendell. As long as he qualifies for it, I think he could have the highest batting average on the Mets roster. Playing every once in a while, every couple days here and there. He's like a 300 hitter when he's at his best. So anytime you're around 300, you have a chance to lead the team.
Joey Wendell with 300 average and like what's the eligibility? Like at least 10 games or something? Like what's the standard there? So we're basing it on that. I like the way that you think, but average wise, again, I'm going to stay with McNeil again. I think this will be a bounce back here. I'll be surprised if he's not in that 290 to 300 range. I'm not expecting 320 out of him. You know, I don't think we're going to see the batting champ that we saw in 2022, but again, I think we're going to see a nice little bounce back from what we saw, because if you saw in the second half last season, especially the last couple months, unfortunately, of course, when things really start to get out of it for the Mets, that's when Jeff really started to turn it on. Is there a sign? Is that correlated at all? Not exactly sure, but still going to go with McHits here to lead the way in that regard. Now let's get on to OBP. Mark, starting with you.
Ooh, I'm going to go with Pete Alonso. I'm going to say Pete Alonso leads the team in on-base percentage this year. Nimmo's the obvious choice, and I don't think it's going to be because he's going to be down. I just think we're going to see in a walk year, Pete's going to hit like 260, and he's going to start to get walked a lot because, let's be honest, after Pete, the lineup is a little bit weaker, so I think he's going to get intentionally walked a lot, put on base, pitched around. I could see like a 350, 360 on base for Pete in his future.
With the Mets get 360 from Pete on OBP this year, a lot of things are going right. What about you, Mike?
See, I'm between Nimmo and Alonso. The problem, I guess, for deciding it for me is Nimmo has done those numbers that you were talking about much more consistently, and because I keep just saying I'm waiting for him to have that like unbelievable year, I'm just gonna play it safe and go with Nimmo.
Yeah, I'm going to play it safe and go with Nimmo too. You know, the OBP over the past couple seasons has been slightly down from, you know, the 400 plus that we've seen in years prior as he's tapped into more of his power. And even if the power surge continues, which I fully expected to do, this is still a guy that you're comfortably sitting probably in that 365 to north of 400 range on the OBP. So yeah, I got to go with Brandon there. That feels like an easy lock for me. Before we continue on with the discussion, let's get into some awesome bets tonight, in my opinion, for all you fellow sports bettors out there that know how to do it responsibly, thanks to our amazing sponsor at BetUS, America's #1 sportsbook. They got you covered with all your sports betting needs, as you guys know, from NHL in season action, NBA in season action, and MLB futures. And I really want to emphasize two things today at the time of recording this. One, an NBA slate that I absolutely love, and yes, there's bias involved, but it's been hitting, so we're going to continue to do exactly that. And two, an MLB future bet, and of course make sure you click down below to get in on the action today with a 125% bonus for your first 3 deposits. That easy. Shout out to BetUS as always. But it starts with tonight's game at the time of recording this. The New York Knickerbockers continue their away slate, this time against the Golden State Warriors in Golden State's arena there, and we would see the Knicks at plus 205 on the money line and plus 6.5 on the spread, minus 110. The Knicks hit last time there on the spread and the money line against, yes, the Sacramento Kings as the underdog. We're going to continue that notion even with OG Anunoby out of the lineup tonight. I love the Knicks' chances to at least hit on the spread here. The Warriors are a 500 team at home so far this season. The Knicks are 18-14 on the road. Dante DiVincenzo coming back in the Bay Area. I think he's going to have a big game tonight and really shake off the rust that we've seen in recent games with him. He's going to get right back on track. I love this for the Knicks tonight at plus 6.5. And we're going to sprinkle some money down there. We're going to put 30 down, and that is going to win us potentially right around around 30, 27, 27. Place that bet. How you doing? There we go. Now let's get on to MLB futures here briefly, because there is one bet that I personally absolutely love here, and let's dive right in. We discussed this on our post-game show just the other night, but as we go to MLB player projections that you'll see right here, we go down not far. Francisco Alvarez, regular season total home runs over 22.5. I mean, this is just free money. It's that simple. Imagine thinking Francisco Alvarez is not going to hit the over on this minus 120 odds. That is one of the easiest hammers of MLB future. Alvarez, in case you're not aware, had 25 home runs last season. He's probably going to have at least 30 to 40 this season. I'm loving those odds here, and I'm hammering this one. We're going big time. We're going 120 to 100. I'm so confident in Francisco Alvarez heading on that one. I'm sure you guys and gals are too. So make sure you get in on the action, and shout out once more to BetUS for always being an amazing sponsor here on the channel. And now this is a fun one for my stats heads out there. Weighted runs created plus, WRC plus. So basically what this means is, again, if you're at 100 as a batter, that means you're around league average. So who's going to lead the way in WRC plus for this Mets offense this year?
I mean, gotta say, Pete, if I was locking in, this is gonna have like 50+ homers, then it's really tough to not lead your team in WRC plus if you're having that kind of power output.
Yeah, I just said he was going to lead on base and hit 50 as well. So, I mean, if I don't pick Pete Alonso, it's just I'm an idiot. So, Pete Alonso.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make the rightful argument with Lindor here, but Pete, it's leaning the way. Not that we all have to have the same answers, but there's good reason for it. So I'm going to go Alonso there in WRC plus. So question, what's his WRC plus going to be?
148.
152.
152. All right, I'm going to sit 146. So we'll see what happens there with Pete. Now let's get on to innings pitched. This is a big question. All of us Mets fans want the answer to this, because if there's one thing that we don't have a certainty with, it's how many innings we're going to get of all of our starters. So, Mike, starting with you, who do you think is going to lead the way in innings for the Mets this year?
I think it'll be Jose Quintana, because like as recently as 2022, he was given pretty good innings totals. He's healthy this year. He's a guy who doesn't scream injury risk, even though he missed half the season last year. Hopefully that a guy at the top of the rotation who starts the season with the team feels like a guy who could work, at least qualify for the innings title.
Give me Tylor Megill. Let's take Tylor Megill. I think what we've seen in spring has been really encouraging. We know that he can be a very capable major league pitcher at times, and I think he has the opportunity to just be one of the more consistent guys. Again, talking about injury risk, not injured too often in the last few years. So I'm going to go with Tylor, and hope he has a great year.
So, as much as I want to jump the gun and say Sevy, because I'm really confident in him this season, I'm actually going to go with Adrian Hauser, because Hauser is the one that I think is the most sure guarantee on what you're getting, and his ability to come out of the pen too comfortably, something he did during his time in Milwaukee. I think the Mets are going to be very creative, obviously, this season to how they utilize their starters. Manaea, Hauser, all these guys are guys that can come in for a couple innings. They can be stretched out deeper into games, but it'll fluctuate probably month to month with the team. So I'm going to go with Adrian Hauser. Now, going back to you guys, if you had to make a rough estimation, what do you think the innings pitch will be for your picks?
165.
165?
I was going to say about 165, yeah.
165. All right, I'll go a little bit lighter then. I'll go right around 158 there for Adrian Hauser. So now let's get into strikeouts, something that I'm personally not picking Adrian Hauser on because he's not the strikeout machine. Who's going to lead the Mets and Ks this year?
I'm going to go with, I really wanted to say Senga, but we don't really know when he's coming back, so it's going to be Luis Severino.
Most strikeouts total, Severino. Strikeout rate of starters, Senga when he comes back. Strikeout rate for everybody, Diaz.
I have nothing to add. You said that perfectly, especially the strikeout rate too. So yes, we're going, say, tired, Senga, wired, Sevy. Now let's get on to ERA. Who's going to lead the Metropolitans in the ERA? And I'm going to have this be collected with relievers and starters. Just don't pick a schmuck that's only pitching like a handful of innings, because we're not going to qualify that one. So, Mark, I'll start with you.
Ooh, best ERA on the team. I'm going to go with... I'm going to go Kodai Senga. I'm going to keep it simple.
Okay.
I'm going to say Brooks Raley. I think you're thinking like possibly sub 3 for that, and I think you could bank on that as close as you can with the reliever. You can never truly bank on them for year in, year out, but Raley feels like a pretty reliable option to give you a good season.
Edwin Sugar Diaz. I'm very confident not only his ability to bounce back this year coming back from injury. We just, over the past day or so, got a chance to witness him live for that spring debut, which was electric, striking out the side. I know it's spring. I don't care. I'm locked in. Edwin looks great. I think he's going to have a monster year. He's going to eat plenty of innings for the Mets. He's going to have a lot of saves. I think he's going to have a really nice year. I don't think he's going to have the ERA that he had in 2022, but I think it's definitely going to be sub-3 still, and I think that's going to lead the way here for the Metropolitans. So we have a couple more here, last but not least, close to at least. Let's get into walk percentage. Now, I want both of your guys' best and worst in that regard when evaluating Mets pitchers. And again, do not try to focus on guys that maybe only are going to have a splash of innings. Really focus on guys that is going to get a good body of work more than likely for the Mets. So starting with you, Mike, who do you have?
I'll say Jose Quintana will be the best walk preventer of the group. I think in terms of who walks the most per inning, how about DJ Stewart in his pitching appearance that comes in like June 12th or something?
Okay. I'm going to go with most walks, Shintaro Fujinami. Just he's a walk machine. That's kind of how it rolls. Least amount of walks. Ooh, God. I don't really like that one. I'm going to go with Edwin Diaz. I don't know. He don't really walk that many guys, so I'll pick him.
Right. Edwin, I'm going to go on at least 2. I like that pick. Most, I'm going with Jake Diekman, just because Jake, even when he's very effective, he's usually walking a good amount of guys, casually sitting 6-7 walks per 9 every single season in the bigs. So now, last but not least, we have the best Mets reliever not named Edwin Diaz for the 2024 season. Mike, we're starting with you.
Went with Raley for ERA because I think you can depend on him much more than a lot of these other guys. I think Diaz has a very best shot to be their best reliever, which is why this is the question in the first place. So not Diaz, I'll go with Brooks Raley.
His name is Jose Buto. Don't forget it. Jose Buto is going to be the stretch man. He's going to come up maybe in May, maybe not to start the year just because of the options. But Buto is going to be money this year. I think he's going to be awesome.
That is a real hot take, and I absolutely love it. Just in the sense of like the next best reliever option after Edwin Diaz. That's tough for me because I truly believe that potential-wise, Shintaro Fujinami has that potential this year, but he's just such a toss-up where, again, you're either going to get brilliance or you're going to get a guy that you're likely going to option not long into the season. There really is no in-between, so I'm going to go with more of the safer pick, Brooks Raley. I love that acquisition when Billy Epler the Mets did a year plus ago, and that's a nice crafty lefty that they have in their pen. So that is going to do it. Everyone, please make sure, again, to let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree with our season predictions for all these Mets statistics and their leaders. That is Mike at Stark Raven Sports. That is Mark at Draftneck Mark and the Mets Podcast. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure, again, to check out our great friends at BetUS with our amazing offer that we have linked down below for you. And shout out them once more. We'll talk to you again real soon. Let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.